Hello and welcome to day 269 of the 365-day meditation challenge, where I challenge myself to meditate for 1 hour a day in 2 sessions of 31 minutes. This is session 1 of the day. I went out with Sophie. She's kind of agitated. She just wants to play. And I fed her just now. I gave her a whole entire chicken leg. And now she's crying for my attention. And I'm not going to... Oh my God. I knew she was going to do that. That's what she wanted. She wanted attention and cuddles. That's what she wanted, and she actually was demanding it. She's super demanding with her cuddles. She's like, she cannot have enough of this. She's so demanding. So demanding you are. You are so demanding. And yeah, she's been agitated the whole day. Well, not really the whole day, but for like, why are you just screeching? Stop screeching. I love you, but you are too clingy. You are too clingy and too agitated. You're like she was like a little sheep just jumping, you know? Not sheep, but goat. A little bit of a goat. A white goat. You are a blonde goat. You have no brains. No neurons in that brain. Nothing. You are empty. She was a bit feisty. She got her old attitude back and some. So yeah, she's a little bit, and I was like, oh my God. I think that this is how I look. This is how I look to other people. This is how I am to other people. Just unpredictable, and I do whatever I want. And she is exactly the same. She's exactly the same as me. Agitated, and she does whatever she wants. She does listen. She's smart enough to listen to me, but she really, really, really likes her freedoms. And yeah, she's not compromising at all. Uncompromising and demanding. Very sturdy in her own things, but she does it out of love and also craziness. Just empty-minded desire to be free and to be not in a leash. Yeah, she kind of if I don't put her on a leash for a long time, I walk around the city without a leash, which I did for like maybe 2 hours today. When I put the leash, she goes crazy, and that used to bother me a lot, but now I started to ignore her at some point, and then now I'm actually telling her not to do it anymore. And she listens after a few times, after I tell her 2 or 3 times to just knock it out. She kind of gives up, which is nice because she didn't used to give up, especially if I tried to stop her, like really tried to stop her, because she would go crazy. She would start to choke herself, like running in different directions in the leash. And then I would try to stop her and she would go even more crazy. So now that I just tell her stop a few times, she stops. I think that's the best. I never used this because I was thinking that if she doesn't stop when I physically stop her, which most dogs are like, okay, this is serious business. I have no power over this, but she doesn't go like that. She just goes crazier. When she does that, she goes even crazier. Most dogs, when you physically restrain them, they go like, okay, this guy has more power than me, and he tries to show it to me. But she doesn't respond to that. She doesn't actually respond to even to other dogs who try to dominate her like that. So she's a special dog. A little bit difficult, but she's my dog. That's why she's difficult. I kind of like it. I kind of like it that she's a rebel. She's been a rebel for a long time. And yeah, she's kind of a little bit of a mouthful, a tough pill to swallow, just like me. Just like me. And she's also demanding. She's like, she demanded to sit here. She didn't like be like, oh, please. No, she was like, I'm gonna do it. And she jumped in my lap. So I have no choice but to hold her. Of course, it's not a big deal, but she got used to it because I started to do it when she was in a little bit of a pain, and now she's, yeah, I like it. She's really nice. She's really loving, but she's kind of forcing it on me. I feel like my hands are tied behind my back. And without further ado, let's start the first session of the meditation right now. And there you go. The first meditation of the day is over. What a wonderful day this was. I actually got to learn some things, not only about myself, but about the world. And I'm happy in my situation because it could have been so much more different. I could have been walking down a different path. And I'm so happy that I don't play stupid games. I don't actually involve myself into situations that I can be corrupted. I can be like arm handled. I don't know how it is. Yeah, someone could twist my arm into doing things. And that can be literal or it can be figuratively. And I chose this a long time ago. I chose to stay away from anything that smells like something could be corrupting me or is a corrupt game. And I stopped playing them, at least to the extent that I can. So I feel very happy with my decision. Every single time I have to celebrate this decision, I feel really, really happy. I know it's kind of a bad deal to take just because I could have, like today, I met someone who's smart enough to play the game in a smart way and use their influence and build their influence in a smart way. But at the same point, they are very acutely aware of the corruption that they are using. So, and of the system and how corruptible the system is and how easy it is to play the game once you understand what you are playing. I think I understood this game and how it is played when I was younger, and I realized it very soon, as soon as I started getting some money, how easy it would be to do stuff. And I actually regretted doing something like that. I saw firsthand how easy it is to get what you want with very, very little consequence to yourself and very little consequence to other people except the person who you want to inflict reprimand, let's say. Just orchestrating something. Just by happenstance, I didn't even particularly directly say what I want. I just expressed a certain kind of emotion, and because of my actions towards the person that I was expressing these emotions, he was thinking that he should do something to protect me. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, that is bad. That is extremely bad. That influence that you can have with people, just being nice to them and offering them just something to drink, a few drinks, just because I was offering like almost everyone something to drink. I was in a party mood and everyone wanted to reciprocate in somehow. And yeah, it is that thing where you should be careful of what you wish. And at that point, of course, I didn't know because I was 17 and I was absolutely baffled by the situation. And then it was just not okay. And I realized and I learned that day that I should be careful of my influence. I should be careful of the things that I say and I put into people's minds, especially when they view me as someone who did something good for them, when they view me as their teammates, as their friends, as their just people who, you know, should be acutely aware of these things because people will do very irrational and they will understand things very badly. So you shouldn't tell them stories. You shouldn't really tell them because the second order of consequence can be bad. If I tell them and I put them on a trajectory with my things and my stories, that could have very bad consequence when it is with me. It's not going to have the consequences, but when I put it in someone else's hands, those things can have consequences. So and I am going to feel bad about those consequences because I knew I put these things into someone else's hands, this problem, and someone else solved it in a different way. And they just come back and tell you, I solved the issue. And I'm like, oh my Jesus. Because they were thinking, oh, this is what I would do. Let me do it for you. And I'm like, oh my God, that is bad. And yeah, it is what it is. It happened. I've learned my lesson and I never did it again. At least, yeah, I can literally say I never did it again in that way. I was in the same situations and I never ever did that same thing again. I used my influence for some other things, but they were positive. They were not negative anymore. They were for the good of the people, not for only my good. I wasn't even I'm careful not to even use the influence that I can have over people, even if it just if no one is gonna lose anything and I am going to gain something and people are happy to do it, I'm not gonna do it because no, I know that that is not the right way that I should be doing stuff. And of course, this is just gonna be in a video. Like if you think that I'm bragging or something like that, it's not, because no one is going to ever see this video. It's a footnote in a video so long that nobody will be bored enough to see it. They won't be, they just won't. Nobody will. So I'm just doing this for myself. I'm meditating and I'm expressing my emotions and what I'm saying and what I'm thinking. And it really kind of messed me up to have this contact with this person today and to let them talk. I also let people talk and let them, like, really, I understood also at a young age that I have this power of letting people not feel judged. And when people don't feel judged, they start telling me everything. They just put everything on the table. And I also kind of tickle their ego. So then they put even more on the table. And it is a very good asset to have because then you know what kind of people you have around you. You don't know how many people told me like really excruciatingly violent things. And I was like, okay, you're the kind of person I should avoid. And yeah, same thing happened tonight. Violent, corruption, bribery, everything. Influence, traffic of influence, and yeah, corruption. So I really don't appreciate those things. And I've tried to stay all my life away from them, and I've succeeded. And now I'm actually going to succeed again because I'm probably not going to go in that circle ever again. And I'm also going to try to avoid the person, even though I have also a morbid curiosity to talk to these people, just because I learn quite a few things about myself and why I didn't choose that path. I didn't choose to play the game and to play games like that. I've stayed away. Even when I was just an artist, I was just painting. I knew that one of the ways to really succeed in art is to get a band of peers and band together and do things and try to like kind of prop yourself up with other people, and one of them, if one of them succeeds, you all succeed, because by proxy everyone thinks that if you are in this guy's circle you are going to basically be the same as him. So by association you will get more successful. It's branding. It's actually called branding. Alex Hormozy talks about this quite a bit, but I've noticed it before that. I've noticed that people do this. They band together, they just create this, but I didn't like that. I knew it before I even started art, before I even started painting and doing arts, that that wasn't a good idea, because I saw, again, when I was younger, how guys just band around, or people, or even girls and guys. It doesn't have to be just boys doing boys things. And then they just start doing crazy stuff. And I didn't like that. I didn't like how people individually are okay, and then sometimes when they're together they start to do things outside of their usual behavior. And because of these, and sometimes some people, just some individuals, just do that without needing the group, because they give themselves permission to do crazy stuff and bad stuff, even though they get away with it and it's not really frowned upon in terms of law. It's not really illegal, and they just get away with it. And then a switch just turns in their head. They go like, oh, if I actually play the game smart enough, I can have more freedoms than I have. I understood also this. I understood it at a young age, that if I want, I can play the game and give myself freedoms that are not under the law, that are most people would consider bad, but I could do them because I can just avoid the wrath of the people, because it's not against the law. I can just do things and be a rascal and a rebel and whatever else. And these people, they understand that even about the law, even about the guardrails of society, which is the law and the police and everyone else, is that even that game, if you play it well enough, you can get away with a lot more things than you think. And yeah, the world is like that. You can just open any newspaper and you can see how, for example, rich people get away with stuff. And it's the same thing, even if you're not rich, you can get away with stuff if you know what to do. So, yeah. And just a switch turns in their head, and now they understand a little bit more about life and the game and how to play it. And they're never the same. They just become sharks. And I can smell them from a mile away. I can just, it is something about them, man. And I don't like it. So I stay away. Well, I talked to them. I told you I have a morbid curiosity, but because I'm trying to understand as much as possible about that without really having the first experience of doing that and how it is and what it is. I can tell you a story about the father of a ex-girlfriend of mine. He would just have a lot of dirt on people. He would always record people 24/7, and he would catalog those things. And you can imagine, if you do that for an extended period of time, you have so much on so many people that now they owe you. You have power over people. That is basically how it is. And he had a big house and he had a big life and he was someone, because of that influence over people by this simple act of letting people just tell him stuff and incriminating themselves. So you see, that is what it is. And of course, yeah, you can. And then I was 19 when that happened. And you can imagine how I've learned about these people and I let them just talk and I'm curious. And even with that person and with he was actually basically saying that because I was dating his daughter. So he was telling me, like, look, I can be dangerous and I can be, I have a lot of power. And I was curious of that power. Like, instead of being threatened by that, I was curious about it. I was like, oh, interesting. And I won him over, of course, because that's what people do. Like, when they're trying to show you how big of a man they are, and you tell them, like, wow, that's not really what they expect. They expect fear from you, not like awe, you know. And I was actually fascinated because I never met someone truly like that, you know, because I wasn't interested and I wasn't put in the situation. And now I was like, oh, nice. I'm like, okay. And it happened over and over and over again. And it happened tonight again. So it is very, very, very interesting. And it's a very interesting game that they play. I wouldn't play it. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I played something or someone like that. And I just feel, and it's just awful, man, because a lot of people can sense that I could play the same game that other people do. A lot of people can really, really tell that I have a lot of influence over them. And they don't understand. Like, they put themselves in my shoes and they always, and I mean always, think that they would take advantage of that. And I'm like, you might, but you won't. I won't. That's the point. Like, I really don't. And it really hurts me to have friends of mine always thinking that I'm a con artist or I just influence people and I use manipulation and things like that. It hurts, you know? It's not really the best thing, especially because, yeah, I can have a lot of influence over people, but I don't use it at all. Like, I make a very, very concerned effort. I don't know if that's the word to use, but concerted effort to not use any of the influence that I have over people, with people, not over them, because influence is not something that you have over, you have with people. you can have over them influence, but that's when you basically have something over their head. But I never have things over other people's heads. But I do have the positive influence, but I don't even use that. I've never used it. I hate it. I would hate myself, and I would have hated myself. I refused to obtain things that way. I just refused. I did a few times, but I was trying to see how it worked. I was actually trying to see how it worked, and I did it for about 2 weeks. I actually made an experiment, and I was like, wow, I'm not gonna do this ever again. It worked too well. It actually worked too well. In a span of 2 weeks, I made more money than I made the previous 2 months. Just because I was using my influence, and I was like, I'd learned about a new way to use your influence. And I was telling people a story. And based on that story, they would just magically, after a few days, find reasons to pay me. That's how crazy it is. And I was like, I'm not gonna do this ever again. And I didn't. I actually made an effort to do the opposite, to not have people directly paying me at all, like for things. I don't like people paying me directly. I like platforms or just people who don't even know my name paying me for the things that I've made. Just so no one can say, oh, you used your influence. Oh, you did that. No. And I think that that's a testament to the fact that I don't use my influence to get what I want. That I would go to such lengths to not even have people directly pay me for the things that I've made. They have to, like, they don't even have to, they just use other things and stumble upon my things and then they pay me. So, yeah, for my work. Yeah, it is a little bit of a pride. I am proud about these things, but I'm also acutely aware of the fact that I could have been living a better life. But you know what? I can say without any effort that I'm happier. I'm so happy and so fulfilled and so I have so much inner peace that that is something that those games can never give you. Never give you. And I think that that's something that is worth so much more. Another thing that I've learned was that you cannot really, like, if you sell your dignity, well, not dignity, I wouldn't use dignity. It's a good word, but I would use the image that you have over yourself, like the image that you have about yourself. If you sell even a little bit of that, you might not get it back. It will take you so long to forgive yourself that it's not worth any kind of anything. Nothing is more precious than your own image about yourself. The moment you give up on that is the moment that you might get something, but it's never worth it because you will forever live with yourself. And people, that's what people don't understand. you will forever live with yourself. So you're the one who's gonna just be in your skin. And yeah, that's one of the things that actually makes me very, very happy. It's because I can be and I can feel very, very, very comfortable with my decisions and the things that I've done and the things that I've accomplished. In saying that, there was a bumpy road when I didn't know those things. But after I've learned them, they were hard to learn. But yeah, there was of course a price to pay at that point. But I didn't. I tried not to make any more of those mistakes, and I didn't. I still judge myself for those things to this day. And I still hold those things over my head. And I still haven't forgiven myself for a few of those things. And it still bugs me and it still rots me from the inside when I think of them. And I get reminded when I say a certain sentences about myself, and then I'm instantly reminded that when I'm saying that, I might be a hypocrite. Because in the past, I didn't think like this. I wasn't ever like this. But sometimes you have to learn it firsthand. You don't always have the privilege of learning something secondhand. You don't always have that privilege of learning a difficult lesson from someone else. I had the privilege with many things of that, but some things you just don't hit them. Nobody tells you that nobody can prepare you for all the mistakes in the world. So you're gonna make some mistakes. And sometimes I'm probably going to judge myself harshly for some of the things that I've done in the past and some of the things that I didn't do, and I feel guilty for them just by proxy. And just because I feel that guilt. And I'm gonna guilt myself probably until the day I die for those things. And I know it's not good, and I know I should forgive myself, but I can't. I really can't. I've tried. I just can't forgive myself for those things. And there is almost nothing to forgive, but I still feel guilty. So no matter how much I try to forgive myself, that feeling of guilt never stops. Even now, I remember things, of course. And you see, it is those things that really taught me that I shouldn't do them anymore. And I shouldn't put myself in situations like those at all. Anyways, it's a fun night. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.